was good.
All right, so some of you know me, some of you don't. Came and did a couple art shows a couple years ago, and I was a high school teacher, and for whatever reason, I decided to write a children's book, to write an illustrated children's book, and I'm going to treat you all like first graders, and I'm going to read this children's book. Yeah! Before I do that, I'm going to tell you how I made it. So I did the stencils for the pages, and I hand cut all the letters out of tape.
Oh wow!
And it took 7 months, and I kind of went a little crazy. I'm not gonna lie. It was a lot of fun, and I plan to do it again, just not anytime soon. So I'll pull my hair out. All right, so it's called Clark Hates Going to the Dentist. It's about a robot named Clark, because it's really about me and my struggles at like 19 of like having 12 cavities. But nobody cares about James Shrioser, the 19-year-old that didn't take care of his teeth and had to get like gold tooth. Like, nobody's going to read that. However, they may enjoy, children might want to be like, oh, robot. You know, he's bad, he like drinks Cokes and stuff. Okay, so it's Clark Hates Going to the Dentist by James Shrioser. There's the title page. Dedicated to Dr. Bill Dismuke, who was my dentist. And then the English teacher, Melanie Trinkard. Alright. Once upon a time, Clark loved going to the dentist. Every time he went, Clark's teeth were always spotless. Sorry, this is going to take a while. And every time he would leave the office with a brand new toothbrush and a big red balloon. But one day, something odd happened. Clark went to the dentist and... Just like every other time, he ran as quickly as he could. He plopped right down in the chair and opened wide with his biggest smile. Dr. Moeller checked Clark's teeth, as he always did, one by one. And Clark expected to hear that wonderfully friendly chuckle. Clark, you have a cavity. Cavity? Clark was horrified. He had never had a cavity before. Dr. Moeller gave Clark a box of floss and a brand new toothbrush and told Clark he needed to brush and floss twice a day. Then he made Clark pinky promise to do as he asked. Clark left feeling so embarrassed. He had never been to the dentist's office without getting a big red balloon. After his visit, Clark went home and he brushed and he flossed the best he could. Clark was determined never to have a cavity ever again. And it worked. For a while. Clark began to relax, and soon he was skipping brushing and flossing for days or even weeks at a time. Trust me, it happened. Come on. Clark always had excuses. I'm too tired. I'll do it tomorrow. I forgot my toothbrush. My hands are too big. I can't floss. All of the excuses were all very silly, for in truth, Clark was just being very lazy. Clark also picked up some nasty habits. He began to not care how many yummy roasted cars he ate. He didn't care how many tall buildings he chewed. And he consumed unrobot amounts of motor oil. Oh, no. As you can see by the unrobot amounts of motor oil, chug-a-lug, chug-a-lug, glug, glug, glug. And then stomp, stomp, chomp, chomp. Buildings and pop, sizzle, crunch, roasting yummy roasted cars. Fire. On his birthday, Clark made sure to request his absolute favorite birthday meal. Wires with nuts and bolts on top. But one day, Clark awoke to hear the 8 words that all naughty robots fear. Clark, honey, you have to go to the dentist today. No, it just can't be time. Sure enough, it was time. And Clark's teeth were in bad shape. He sulked his way into the dentist's office, and when Dr. Moeller asked Clark how he was doing, Clark mumbled, "Fine." But obviously nobody heard because Clark dared not show his teeth. After a quick look, Dr. Moeller asked Clark if he had been brushing and flossing. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Well, yes! But, well, I may have missed her. Clark crossed his fingers. Yes, I had. Clark knew he had fibbed, but he kept on talking. But, the flosses... Dr. Moeller shook his head and said, Clark, you are going to get some fillings. Fillings? Cried Clark. Clark, you need a bunch of fillings. But Clark, you just lied to me, and you broke our pinky promise. And that's what really hurts. So they very disappointed Dr. Moeller. So Clark got the fillings, and each one hurt real bad. When he got home, Clark was resolved never to let this happen ever again. He brushed and he tried really hard to floss, but his hands were too clumsy. Every time he drank a can of motor oil, Clark would feel guilty. Every time he saw a bag of cars, his teeth would hurt. When he walked near tall buildings, Clark's tummy would ache. Aww. On his birthday, Clark's mom once again cooked his favorite birthday meal, wires with nuts and bolts on top. Yum. Clark pushed the plate away. He burst into tears. It's just so hard. Clark felt a hand clink on his shoulder. Son, Clark, I used to have bad teeth too. Really, Dad? Well, what did you do? As you can see, he's got really janked up teeth. Well, for starters, I stopped drinking so much motor oil. I didn't eat so many cars, and I only nibbled on skyscrapers. It's called moderation. I also made a routine of brushing and flossing, and I used this to help me floss. So from that day on, Clark worked really hard, and even though it tasted yucky, Clark even tried diet oil. Let's see. Rather than eat a whole building, Clark would only eat one story at a time. He only ate European-style cars. And milk for his teeth. Finally, Clark awoke to hear the 8 words that good little robots love to hear. Clark, honey, you have to go to the dentist today. Clark was very nervous, but he went right in and sat down in the chair. Dr. Moeller checked Clark's teeth. He said, as he inspected each one. I think somebody deserves a brand new toothbrush and a big red balloon.